Hey guys, it is me, Kisame Unlimited, and today for this week I'm tackling an awesome top 10. The top 10 that I'm going to be doing for this week is I'm going to be doing my top 10 Yu-Gi-Oh cards I love to hate. Basically, out of all the decks that I play, I like a lot of, top tier things here and there are a lot of high, popular decks that I personally enjoy, but when they're used against me, I want to throw my computer at the wall, because there are certain cards that I just love to use, but hate when they're used against me. So I didn't know how to document that, and I wanted to make it, and I thought it'd be a fun top 10 that you guys could see my hypocrisy. Number 10 goes to Pot of Desires. Pot of Desires, the best way I could describe it is when you draw it and you get those extra two cards, it's such a good feeling. But you see, for me, I think the reason why I love this card in a good way of using it is that it's just handy. It's like getting a free draw and +1 mechanic is never bad. But you see, for me, it's most of the time I don't really play hardcore meta. And because I don't play hardcore meta, whatever I'm drawing isn't going to be that fantastic to begin with. So when I see my opponent do it, I just assume the worst, and I'm like, oh my god, that extra +1's only gonna bite me in the ass. It's going to fuck me so bad, and I hate it. I said, I don't know, for some odd reason, I think it's because I don't play as busted stuff as the most of the other people in the community. So I kind of feel like I always expect the worst when I see Pot of Desires from my opponent. Norden for me is like, he's like my finisher. It's like if I ever use Norden, I'm like, oh, look at my combos. And I'm like, I play Norden way too much for my own good. But I love Norden. I think he's so fun. See, he brings out so many of my, because I'm a rank 4 toolbox kind of player. So for me, he's like my best friend. So when I see someone else bust Norden against me, I'm like, what are you doing? I'm like, what are you doing? You belong with me. What are you doing for this guy? It's like I feel like I walked in on like my boyfriend like cheating on me. I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? I feel like Norden is just like, he's my guy. So I feel like when I see, and I know that, Yu-Gi-Oh is a game where you can play whatever the fuck you want. I shouldn't call anybody my guy. Everyone's allowed to use instant fusion in Norden. It's a very popular tech for everybody. But you see, for me, it's just, when I see Norden on my opponent's side of the field, I'm like, he helps me. This card can stop so many busted cards just by putting them in the face down defense position. You have a problem with Christia, defense mode. If you have a problem with, totally awesome and Infinity and you chained around them, Quaking Mirror Force. It's such like a handy card. But when I don't know, for me, it's like anytime when I ever walk into a Quaking Mirror Force, it's like, oh, I'm attacking with a whole field of monsters, and they're all put in that defense position. I'm like, oh, okay, that's not the end of the world. But because I can't flip them back, I'm like, okay, can you please destroy my cards so I could actually start playing a new field? And they're like, no, I'm gonna draw a gajillion cards until I feel like I want to OTK you, and I'm like. And I don't know why. It's like Quaking Mirror Force is the only card where it's like using it on my opponent. It's just like ha ha ha. And then when someone's laughing at me doing it, I'm like, stop it. You're mean. Brilliant Fusion and me are like two peas in a pod. It's like that card has led me into a gajillion combos. That card and me clicked so well. But the problem with me with Brilliant Fusion is I look at it and I say, I use you for your OTK heavy side. And then I see my opponent use it and I see all these other types of combos. Because you see, for me, it's like I've only used, like, I want to say, Brilliant Fusion with Constellars and Spellbooks, which are really not good decks. I mean, I like them, and they're my favorite types of decks to play because I like field control and I like doing it in my own way, and I think that those archetypes are so interesting. But you see, when I see like a random mishmash of just high great engines just throwing Brilliant Fusion, I'm just like, oh god. It's like I see like the full strength of the card because it's like basically like hardcore meta. So when I see hardcore meta abuse that card, I'm just like, motherfucker. fucker. But you see, for me, it's like I like I said, I like it because I appreciate it in a different form of what Brilliant Fusion's used for. Because I'm like, well, I'm using it for these outdated decks to make them more, competitive against you people. So when I see, great engines used against me, it like really knocks me off like my high horse, and I'm like, oh shit, and then I get like my ass like swept from one side of the field to the other. So Fairy Tale Snow and me, when I first saw Snow, I was just like, okay, you're really good because she kept cutting me off. Because you see, for me, it's like I'm a very OTK heavy rank 4 toolbox player. So let's just say when I'm ready to go for game and Fairy Tale comes on the field and just stops one monster, that one monster could keep me from, doing that one final slam, getting me that game. So Fairy Tale Snow has that capability of locking me a lot. But you see, for me, when the way I view her is that, like, when she's used against me, she is, since I kind of play in that very like dangerous upfront assault type of play style, she could easily like ruin that for me. She's like the ultimate like, oh, you didn't see me there? Well, I got you, didn't I? I got you, right? Yeah, yeah. And I'm like, it's not funny. Stay dead. But when I'm using her, I'm just like, oh, thank God she saved me. Oh, I could use rank 4 toolbox. All right, she's good. She's all right with me. But you see, it's like such like a like it's like such a weird love hate thing. Like I like her, but I like using her, but I don't like facing her. Not many people, I don't think, know this, but when I first saw Infinity, it was one of my most hated cards from the get go. I was like, I hated Shien for years, and they made a card that's better than Shien and easier to summon. I hate my life. And then I said to myself, I'm like, Anthony, if you play Infinity and you use Infinity, then you won't feel like the repercussions of Infinity. And then little by little, every deck that I had was in so much way able to use Infinity. And then for some odd reason, I was able to be like, oh my God, I don't hate it as much as like other cards. And I'm like, thank God. For me, when it came to Constellas, I was like, so I could easily use Galaxy Soldier, the Constella Libra, or Panzer Dragon, and I could easily summon Nova through all of this. So for me, I was actually able to incorporate Infinity into my deck. So I was like, good. So I don't have to hate this card so much. But I still have that hatred because it still does. It has that playstyle of, you can't play Yu-Gi-Oh! I'm going to lock you and you're stuck in this position. And I'm like, It's not like I don't know how to get around a card like that. You could easily throw a kaiju on top of it or chain around him. But he's still an annoying card that I despise facing because he's just an asshole. Wind Witch Ice Spell I've been playing, and I'm like, oh my God, now I actually have an appreciation for Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon. But yet again, my despise and how much I hate Crystal Wing Dragon facing it, because people have heard me bitch and complain about how much I hate Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon facing him, because he's such an annoying fuck, because for me, I'm a combo-based player. Most of the time, I don't play many traps outside of fucking Solemn Warning, Quaking Mirror Force, and that's like the only card to deal with him. And I don't even play Quaking Mirror Force and everything. And I mean, other than that, like, I barely play trap cards. So when I see that card hit the field, I'm like, oh, well, unless I top deck Raigeki, I'm kind of fucked. Because I kind of have to either chain around him and then maybe like Castle his ass or fucking Utopia Lightning him. And he's not easy to get off the field. So he's constantly in my face, pissing me off. And every time when I see Wind Witch, Ice Spell, I look at her and I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna take damage and I have to deal with this card. And the fucking bell in the end, protects Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon, which only makes it worse. And I'm like, I hate you, I hate you. But personally, I play Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon. I'm actually playing the Invoked Archetype, so I'm using a mixture of, the Wind Witches and the Invoked cards, or the Indolens, or I just call them the Invoked. I like calling them the Invoked more. I actually really like that deck, and I haven't showcased or talked about it much, so you guys are hearing it first time here. But you see, for me, it's like, the Wind Witches, I think, are really, really busted, and they, like, basically, Ice Spells, basically, Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon with immunity right from the get-go, and trims down your deck and does damage. It's, like, fucking busted to no end, and it's so good when you're using it, but when you're facing it, you want to kill yourself. Totally Awesome is a card that I actually have a lot of fun using with Bahamut Shark and Dynamis, because all my cards in Dynamis are water attribute, so I could easily say, hey, here's Bahamut Shark, here's Totally Awesome, here's Cyber Dragon Infinity. That deck is literally the embodiment of everything I despised. And it's funny, because I like the Dynamis playstyle. It was just such a coincidence that they all were machines, level 5 and water. It like fell into my lap so perfectly. The best way I view Totally Awesome is if you have them on the field, it's like you get to like lay back and chill. You get to be like, well, let's see what you got. Because for me, I'm like, well, either way, I could either add him back, a Dynamis back to my hand. I could easily negate, take a good card, use it for later. Basing that is just obnoxious. I just feel like it's like waking up with like a whole planned activity thing that you have to do. And you say to yourself, I'm like, do I have to really do all this shit? Do I really? And that's the way I view like facing Totally Awesome. It's like a lot of like work that you have to deal with, like something that you feel like you shouldn't have to deal with in the first place. Maxi has been my favorite tech in Yu-Gi-Oh! Since fucking when Valor was around. When Valor came out, I was like, this card fucking sucks. You're telling me I have to negate something and that's it, and I'm wasting a card and they still probably get to keep that card? I'm like, that's dumb. And then when I saw Maxi, I was like, oh my god, I get to drop this whenever. I feel like it takes skill to use Maxi, because I've seen a lot of people with no skill and they cannot use Maxi for shit. But you see, Maxi, I feel like it takes skill. You have to know predictability in the game to know when to drop Maxi. And the thing is, for me, it's like using it, I know Maxi like the back of my fucking ass. Which is like, for me, it's like I know Maxi so well. Me and Maxi clicked, and if I ever have room, Maxi is my first bro to add. Like, I love him. He's so cool. But you see, for me, the only issue that I could say about Maxi is I have the intelligence to know how to use Maxi correctly, and the rest of the world, most of the rest of the world, I want to say a good 85% of the world knows how to use him correctly. And you see, when that 85% uses Maxi against me, remember, I'm a very, like, I don't play stun usually, and a lot of people have been, you know, hearing, like, he plays Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon, Infinity, Totally Awesome, and the first card on this list is stun, so they're going to be like, I don't know, maybe like little by little I'm adapting stun into me. So, you know, stun, it's a thing I love to hate. But, you know, the best way I describe it is Maxi, when dropped against me, it's like it's a real big wrench in my plan, because for me, it's like, I don't ever want to give my opponent free draws. That's something that I would never want to do. So seeing my opponent get all those pluses is something that I'm like, oh god, I hate doing it. And a lot of the times I will literally leave myself vulnerable and just say, well, fuck it, I just pass. Because, you know, I'd rather either be OTK'd than give my fucking opponent like 3-4 cards. Like, I refuse to do that. So I'm like, hit me with everything. I don't give a shit. So Maxi, like, I literally just like basically like look at it and I basically see it on my opponent's side of the field and I'm like, you know what? Do it. Beat the shit out of me. I'm not giving you the draws, so just punch me as hard as you can, because that's how I am every time when I see Maxi. I'm like, do it. Hit me. Hit me. Beat me. I never thought I'd ever say this or do this. Number one is Vanity's Emptiness. Slowly but surely, I've been playing Vanity's Emptiness in my decks. I've always hated Vanity's Emptiness. I've hated Vanity's Emptiness probably as much as I hated Valor. And it's so weird if I ever came out one day and said, I like Valor all of a sudden, because that's like, I'd be like, what? But you see, for me, I never liked Vanity's Emptiness. So the hate is natural. So for me, I shouldn't have to even pitch why I dislike it, because I just haven't liked it for years. But little by little, I'm like, I need a good tech to add. And a lot of decks these days special summon like crazy. And lately, I've been using Vanity's Emptiness just to cut off my opponent's plays, and it's never, ever bite me in the ass. It's like one day it's like, I hate this, I hate this, I hate this. You know, it's basically like, I hate people that smoke, I hate people that drink, I hate people that, like, I do this and this and this, I hate tattoos, I hate that. And then, like, wake up one day and I'm like doing everything. It's like, I'm like, so that's the top 10 that I have for you guys. Basically, I hope you guys all enjoyed this. Leave your opinions of cards that you love to hate and hate to love. So I hope you guys all enjoyed this. Like it if you haven't already, because I had a lot of fun making this video. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. I'm a Yu-Gi tuber that uploads quite oftenly. I upload every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. I've been doing this for like 5-6 years. I love doing it. I love making Yu-Gi-Oh videos. Hope you guys all have a great day, better tomorrow, and I will see you guys later. Bye.